March 25th, 1999. Tim Joyce lifts a Bell 47G off Bankstown Airport. The Harbor Bridge track. 30 minutes, $360. Routine. His passenger has auburn hair and a thick European accent he guesses German. 4 shopping bags. He notes them. Doesn't think. 5 minutes in, she stops looking out the window. 7 minutes in, she reaches into one of the bags. He makes small talk. She doesn't answer. She asks him to take a closer look at the prison below. He turns his head. When he turns back, there's a gun against his temple. This is a hijack. This becomes the only successful helicopter prison escape in Australian history. The woman isn't a soldier. She's a librarian, a PhD student, a former judge's associate. She spent 6 months planning this like writing a doctoral dissertation. 3 kilometers below, inside Silverwater maximum security, a 56-year-old bank robber stands in the yard staring at his watch. He told her 10 minutes ago where he'd be standing. He has no idea if she's coming. The helicopter banks west. 3 shots left the guard towers. All 3 will find their target. Who is this woman? And how did a librarian end up holding a gun to a stranger's head, 800 feet above Sydney, on behalf of a man she'd only known for 4 years? Lyudmila Zhdanova is born in Kuibyshev, in the Soviet Union, in 1958. She speaks Russian, English, and enough German to be mistaken for a German. In her early 30s, she emigrates to Australia with her husband, the scientist Alexei Dudko. They settle in Sydney. They have a daughter. They call her Maria. By the early 1990s, the family looks like the Australian dream from the outside. Alexei is doing research. Lyudmila, now using the anglicized name Lucy, is working as a librarian at the New South Wales State Library. She is also enrolled in a PhD program. She has previously worked as a judge associate, the kind of role that requires exceptional verbal precision and analytical patience. She drafts well. She thinks about systems. She finishes what she starts. She is the opposite of every assumption anyone will later make about the kind of woman who would help a bank robber escape from prison. In 1995, at a party in Sydney, she meets John Killick. He is 53, twice divorced, estranged from his wife Gloria, a career bank robber with a gambling addiction that has driven him in and out of prison for 30 years. He is charming. He is articulate. He has read more than men with his record are supposed to read. He says he has never heard a teller in any of the holdups. He says it like a man who has been waiting his whole life for someone to ask. Everything about him is the opposite of her life. She is fascinated. Within months, Lucy left her husband. Within a year, she moved out of her family's home. Her daughter Maria, by now in her early teens, remains primarily with Alexei. Maria will not see her mother regularly for the next 6 years. Within 2 years, she has, and this is the line that stops, the audience cold moved into a Sydney apartment with Killick's estranged wife Gloria. The 2 women share rent. They share a kitchen. They share the bathroom. They are, both, women whose primary relationship in life is now with the man currently held at Silverwater maximum security. Lucy visits him 3 times a week. This is not a woman who has lost her mind. This is a woman who has changed her mind, methodically, permanently, about what kind of life she wants to live. In 1996, Killick is convicted again of armed robbery and returned to prison. In 1997, he moved to Silverwater. In 1998, his assigned cellmate changed. The new cellmate is a man named Paul Bennett. Bennett holds a private pilot license. He has thousands of hours in light aircraft. He knows the routes of every sightseeing operation in Greater Sydney. He knows the operational ceiling and approach pattern of every airfield within 100 kilometers. Killick calls it fate. He is by accident the most useful prison cellmate any escape artist in Australia has ever drawn. Killick listens. On a Tuesday afternoon in the visiting room at Silverwater, he sits across the table from Lucy and tells her he has a plan. He has been reading. He has been studying. He has been collecting torn pages from aviation magazines that occasionally make it into the prison library. He has been listening to Bennett. He says quietly that there is one way out of Silverwater. There is only one way. It is up. The plan requires someone outside who is unknown to the police, someone technically competent enough to execute precise timing, someone methodical enough to research every operational detail, someone willing to risk everything she has built. Killick does not know anyone who fits that description, except the woman sitting across from him. She did not answer that afternoon. She answers 6 months later with a binder. Can a librarian build the technical knowledge to steal a helicopter? And how do you plan a crime nobody in Australian history has ever pulled off? The problem, as Lucy now defines it, is a research problem. Silverwater maximum security has multiple layers of perimeters, walls, razor wire, towers, armed guards, internal sub-perimeters, vehicle screening. There is no way through, there is no way around, there is no way under. There is only one direction. She begins, the way she has begun every project of her adult life, with reading. She buys flight magazines. She tears out articles. She collects brochures from every sightseeing operator in Greater Sydney. She rents films from her local Video Easy Hostage, Breakout, Fled, Air America, and Cliffhanger. She watches the helicopter scenes frame by frame, taking notes. She borrows technical manuals from the state library where she works. She returns them on time. She also begins, quietly, to take a single-engine flight lesson at a small school north of Sydney. She tells the instructor she is interested in private aviation. She pays for the lesson in cash. She never returns for a second. She is also, all of this time, still working her librarian shifts, still attending PhD seminars, still visiting Killick 3 times a week. The cover is the credentials. Nobody notices a quiet, accented woman in a library jacket carrying books home. She identifies the loophole. Sydney is preparing for the 2000 Olympic Games. The Olympic site at Homebush is barely 3 kilometers from Silverwater. Every sightseeing helicopter in the city has a route that flies over it. Bankstown Airport operates dozens of these tours every day, 6 days a week. The bookings are routine. The clientele is international. A polite woman with cash and an interest in the Olympic Stadium will not raise an eyebrow. She selects the operator. She selects the route. She selects the aircraft type for the Bell 47G, a small, slow, single-engine helicopter with an open cabin and a low operating ceiling. Easy to land in tight spaces, light enough to descend into an exercise oval. Then she works on timing. The plan requires Killick to be in the prison yard at the exact minute the helicopter is overhead. The yard rotation at Silverwater is unpredictable. Officers move the inmate groups at the discretion of the duty of supervisor. The window of synchronization, after months of observation, is single-digit minutes. The solution is a phone call. Killick has an illegally smuggled mobile phone in his cell, hidden in the lining of a winter jacket. On the day when he sees the guards rotating to his exercise period, he will dial Lucy's number. He will tell her how many minutes she has. She will then board the pre-booked flight from Bankstown. The remaining problem is the pilot. Lucy is not a violent woman. Killick knows this. He will not ask her to carry a real weapon. He smuggles a message out to a contact, and the contact provides her with 2 firearms. Both are real handguns. Both are rendered physically inoperable. The firing pins have been removed. The chambers are blocked. They cannot be discharged. But they will terrify anyone they are pointed at. He will tell investigators years later, in a court statement, that he provided the inoperable weapons so Lucy could not, under any circumstance, accidentally kill the pilot. The audience sees, for the first time, the strange tenderness inside the criminal logic. Lucy now has an operation. She has a route. She has an aircraft type. She has a call protocol. She has weapons. She is timing. She rehearses the cover story. She is a tourist. She is interested in the Olympic sites. She has her own name on the booking. She is paying in cash. There is nothing illegal she will do until the moment she draws the gun. She picks the date, March 24th, 1999, a Wednesday. She walks into the Bankstown office of the helicopter operator. She books the Harbor Bridge track for the following morning. She pays $360 in cash. She gives her real name. She drives home. She tells no one. The decision is now irreversible. The next morning, she will fly with a stranger she has never met, point a weapon at his head she cannot fire, and order him to commit a felony. She will have to trust that the man she loves is in the right square of grass at the right second of the right minute. 6 months of research, one window, no second chance. Can a plan survive in contact with a real helicopter? And what does she do if Killick isn't in the yard? March 25th, 1999, Thursday morning. The sky over Sydney is clear. Lucy arrives at Bankstown Airport at 9. She is wearing trousers and a blouse. She is carrying 4 shopping bags. The bags contain the 2 inoperable handguns, a length of rope, a change of clothes for Killick, and her cover story props, a Paper City map, a tourist brochure, and a small camera. Tim Joyce, 38, a professional helicopter pilot, has already done 1 tour this morning. He greets her in the office. He notes the accent. He guesses German. He notes the shopping bags and does not think about them. He logs the flight as a routine. 3 kilometers away, in the cell he shares with Paul Bennett, Killick has the smuggled mobile phone in his pocket. Bennett is at the small window, listening to the sound of rotors from the south. The Bell 47G lifts off the Bankstown helipad at 9:35. The aircraft heads northeast over the suburbs. Joyce begins his standard tour narration. Lucy looks out the window in the front passenger seat. She says yes and no in the correct places. She does not say much else. 7 minutes in, she goes quiet. She reaches into one of the shopping bags. Joyce makes a small comment about the Olympic Stadium below. She does not answer. The phone in Killick's pocket vibrates. He answers it under his blanket. Bennett is at the door of the cell, looking at the corridor. Killick listens. He says one sentence. "I'll be in the yard in 10 minutes." He hangs up. Bennett nods. They are clear. In the helicopter, Lucy ends her call. She turns to Joyce. She asks him politely to descend and follow the route west towards Silverwater. Joyce hesitates. Guests do sometimes ask for closer looks at landmarks. He banks aircraft west. The exercise yard at Silverwater Maximum Security comes into view below. Lucy turns to Joyce. "Take a closer look." Joyce turns his head. When he turns back, the pistol is against his temple. "Don't move. This is a hijack." Joyce is a professional. He does not panic. He looks at the gun. He looks at her face. He follows her instructions. Lower, lower, cross the perimeter. The yard is below them now. Inside the cabin, what is about to happen is visible to several hundred witnesses. In the yard, Killick has been standing in his green prison singlet for almost 12 minutes. He has heard the rotor 40 seconds. He has been forcing himself not to look up. He looks up. Bell 47G is descending into his prison. The other prisoners see it too. They cheer. They stop their conversations. They clear a landing path on the oval grass. Several of them are laughing. Several of them are weeping. There are roughly 200 men in the yard. They are watching the most audacious thing any of them has ever seen, and they are unanimously choosing the inmate's side. The helicopter touches down on the oval. Killick runs. He covers 50 meters across the grass and reaches the cabin. He puts himself in. He looks at the pilot, pale, shaking, the gun still on him. He delivers the line that will become legend in Australian criminal folklore. "You can make a lot of money out of 60 minutes if you do the right thing. It's your choice." The guards in the towers realize what is happening too late. 3 shots cracked out. All 3 hit the helicopters. 1 hits a structural strut. 1 hits the tail. 1 hits the main rotor. The aircraft shakes. Joyce, on instinct, lifts off anyway. The yard recedes below them. They are airborne. They are damaged. They are free. But they are free in a helicopter with a bullet in its rotor, a hostage in the left seat, and a getaway plan whose first checkpoint has a problem Lucy does not yet know about. What does the librarian forget? And how do you hide from an entire country when your face is about to be on every screen? Lucy directs Joyce north. She gives him coordinates she has memorized. He flies. He does not speak. The flight lasts less than 10 minutes. The helicopter lands in a small park in North Sydney. Joyce is tied to a tree with the length of rope from one of the shopping bags. He is not gagged. He is not struck. Lucy tells him in a calm voice to count to 1,000 before he tries to free himself. She and Killick run toward the corner of the park where a getaway vehicle has been parked since the previous night. The keys are in the apartment she shares with Gloria, sitting in a drawer she meant to empty before she left. 45 seconds into freedom, the plan has broken. Killick is the one who decides. He walks back toward the street with the inoperable pistol still in his waistband. The first car to pass is a station wagon driven by a man in his 30s. Killick stops it. He shows the gun. He demands a ride to North Sydney. The driver, white-faced, agrees. Lucy sits in the back. She does not speak to him. She watches the road. Killick gives directions in a voice the driver later describes oddly polite. They abandon him an hour later in an inner-city side street, intact and unhurt. They disappear into the lunchtime foot traffic. Tim Joyce, back at the park, has freed himself from the tree in under 3 minutes. He runs to the nearest building, a small bowling club, and calls the police from the bar phone. By 11 o'clock that morning, every news outlet in Australia has the story. By noon, there are roadblocks across New South Wales. By 2, every airport in the country has Lucy's face. By 3, the federal police have alerted Interpol. By 4, police have searched Gloria's apartment. They find the torn-out magazine pages. They find the VHS tapes, hostage, breakout, fled. They find the technical manuals from the state library. They find Lucy's PhD enrollment paperwork. They find a binder full of typed notes on helicopter operating procedures, marked up in careful blue ink. The press now has a story Australia has never had before. An educated professional immigrant woman, a librarian, a PhD student, a former judge's associate has just engineered the most audacious prison escape in the country's history. The nickname comes within 24 hours. Red Lucy. It refers to her hair. It also, in the Australian press of the late 90s, carries a Soviet echo. The papers run with it. The sightings begin. Police hotlines recorded more than 200 phone tips in the first week. A woman with a Russian accent has been seen at every gas station, every motel, every truck stops from Cairns to Hobart. Most of the sightings are wrong. Some of them are not. Lucy and Killick move. They check into motels under aliases. They travel between Victoria and New South Wales. They sleep in different places every few nights. Lucy dyes her hair. Killick grows a beard. It is not the planning Lucy was good at. She has spent 6 months optimizing a single bounded problem with a clear success condition. She has not spent any time optimizing an unbounded fugitive existence with no success at all. The mind that excelled at the helicopter heist is not the mind that excels at hiding. Killick, who has been on the run before, finds the experience familiar. Lucy finds it unbearable. By early May, Killick wants to keep moving. Lucy wants to settle down. She is exhausted. She wants to sleep in the same bed for more than 3 nights. She wants to cook a meal. She wins the argument. On May 5th, 1999, they check into Bass Hill Caravan Park on the western edge of Sydney. They register as Mr. and Mrs. Brown. They pay a week in cash. They unpack. That evening, for the first time in 40 days, Lucy goes to the small kitchenette and cooks. She stands at the stove. She makes something simple. She does not rush. For 30 minutes, she is not Red Lucy. She is a woman making dinner. 3 days later, someone recognizes her. Police never confirm who placed the tip. A caretaker, a neighbor, a delivery driver. Detectives are watching the caravan park within hours. May 8th, 1999. 45 days after the Bell 47G rose from Bankstown. Police move on the brown caravan at dawn. Killick is taken without resistance. Lucy is found inside, fully dressed, calm, and unarmed. She does not attempt to flee. She does not speak. She extends her wrists. The most successful helicopter prison escape in Australian history is over. The architect did not get caught running. She got caught resting. What does a librarian say when the police arrive? And what does she choose to do with the next 7 years of her life? Mulawa Women's Correctional Center, June 1999. Lucy is in a single cell. She is charged with 5 offenses: aiding the escape of a prisoner by force, hijacking an aircraft, causing wounding with intent for the bullet damage to the helicopter, on the legal theory that her actions caused the guards' return fire. 2 firearms-related charges. The maximum penalty across the 5 is decades. She does not contest the charges. She does not blame Killick. She accepts every charge as stated. Sentencing comes in 2001. Lucy receives 10 years. The judge calls the plan extraordinarily well thought out. Killick receives an additional 23 years on top of his existing sentence. He is sent to Goulburn Supermax, the highest security facility in New South Wales. They are now separated by 100 kilometers of locked roads and a combined sentence that runs past the middle of the next decade. The letters begin, from Moolowa to Goulburn, from Goulburn to Moolowa, from Lucy to John, from John to Lucy. Over the next several years, they exchanged approximately 4,500 letters. The letters are detailed, they are literate, they are careful. The same precise mind that planned for the helicopter is now using its full focus on maintaining a relationship through paper. Then something changes. Somewhere around 2003, Lucy converts to Christianity. Neither she nor Killick has ever named the exact date. The chaplain at Moolowa is involved. The conversion is real. It is not strategic. She reads scripture daily. She prays. She speaks of forgiveness, including her own. The letters continue, but the woman writing them is no longer the woman who planned the escape. She has arrived, quietly and permanently, at a different accounting of what her life is for. In a letter that Killick will later describe but has never publicly quoted in full, Lucy ends the relationship. She does not blame him. She does not regret the escape. She simply tells him, in the careful blue ink of every letter she has ever written, that she cannot continue the relationship and remain with the person she has become. Killick continues to write. She does not reply. The same methodical mind that planned the hijack executes the most surgical possible exit from the man it was for. Lucy is released on parole in 2006. She has served 7 years. She is in her late 40s. She returns to a quiet life in Sydney. She gets a job in a library again. She does not give a single interview. She does not write books. She does not appear on any of the documentaries, magazine features, or true crime podcasts made about the escape over the next 2 decades. Journalists track her down through library records. She does not speak to them. The producers of a 2003 Australian documentary write to her 3 separate times. Each letter is returned, unopened. She lives, methodically. As a woman the country used to call Red Lucy, and now does not see at all. Killick is released in 2014. He is then transferred to serve additional time on a separate Queensland sentence. His final release comes in the late 2010s. He writes 3 books. He gives multiple interviews. He says, in every one of them, that he still loves her. His parole conditions specifically forbid him from contacting her until he reaches the age of 80. He is, today, in his 80s. Whether the prohibition has lapsed, neither has confirmed. Whether they have spoken, neither has confirmed. This was not a love story. The architect ended it from a prison cell. It was not a crime story. The architect had never broken a law before in her life, and has not broken one since. It was the story of a brilliant, methodical, exceptionally capable mind that decided, for reasons it has never fully explained, to apply itself to the wrong problem. Lucy proved she could plan the impossible. The plan worked. The escape was, factually, the most successful helicopter rescue in Australian criminal history, and it still wasn't enough. The life the plan was built for did not survive the plan. What does it mean when the smartest thing someone ever does is the thing that destroys everything they have? Lucy hasn't answered that. She hasn't answered anything in 20 years. That silence was her final plan. And like every plan she has ever made, it is holding. If this story kept you up, there's another one that will finish the job. A 26-year-old who co-created Reddit and helped stop Congress from censoring the internet decided that 4.8 million locked academic papers should be free, and the US government charged him with 13 felonies and 35 years for believing it. That video is on screen now.